What if I told you this video would save you years on your self-improvement journey? You will get 90% more results than doing any other miniature activity in self-improvement. Because let's be honest with each other. Chances are you are a highly motivated person that really wants to do everything they can to not only improve their life, but improve themselves. And ever since you started working on yourself, ever since you went down this hypothetical rabbit hole of self-improvement, you got absolutely sucked into this world of self-improvement content. You went down the metaphorical rabbit hole of personal development and growth, where you found never-ending tips, tactics, tricks, the 5-minute morning routine that will 10 times your productivity, right? You've seen all of these 1,000,001 videos with all these tiny little activities that all promise you the same thing, that they are going to be the one-stop solution, the miracle pill that changes your life. These guys will teach you about NoFap. Have you taken a cold shower today, bro? Bro, have you found your purpose yet? If not, why haven't you discovered your grand purpose? You know, purpose is everything, by the way. Like, if you don't have a purpose, like, what are you doing with your life, G?
Ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
If I had watched a video like this that I'm about to make for you today, 10, 15 years ago, when I started trying to improve myself, instead of all these little clickbaity videos with flashy titles and big promises that you see all over YouTube, man, would I have been so much further ahead on my own self-development journey. Damn. Because I would have been able to have started in the right place with the right advice and not get caught up in all the fluff and all the nonsense and the clickbaity garbage that you see everywhere today. So as promised, in this video, I'm going to give you the first three most critical skills or qualities that you need to develop at the beginning of your self-improvement journey before you touch any of the other stuff. And I promise you, just starting with these 3 things will give you, as I've said, the majority of your results. I'll give you a clue. They all start with the word self. And let's start with the biggest, most important self that there is. And of course, I'm talking about the skill of self-awareness. And I already know 90% of people have clicked off, they've buggered off to go watch another NoFap video, they've started looking for videos about texting girls, the best text game to 10 times your results with women. 90% of people have already fucked off, and that's perfectly fine, because if you're still around for this point, your life is about to change, and I'll explain why. Let me try to show you just how important this skill is by using a little story. I want you to close your eyes, get your creative caps on, and imagine that you are the captain of this massive, grand ship, right? Or you can pretend you're a pirate if you're a naughty motherfucker like me. Let's pretend you're a pirate, right? And you're about to set sail over, I don't know how many oceans there are, bro. It just shows my geography skills. I think there's like 4. Oh, I'm not even gonna guess, y'all are gonna roast me. But let's pretend you're about to sail off on this grand world voyage on your ship as the pirate or the captain, whatever you like. You are about to set sail to conquer the world, right? Or in other words, to conquer your life. Now let's pretend that you've just spent years of your life crafting the finest, most strongest ship possible. You've literally spent decades gathering the best crew with the best skills and the best knowledge of the 7 seas. The sails on your ship are shiny, brand new, meticulously crafted, and you're ready to go. In other words, let's say you have a 6-pack, maybe you have the best morning routine that you've spent hours crafting for yourself, or maybe you've just been given freaking great genetics, and if that's you, congratulations, bro. Wish I was like you too.
You are a smelly pirate hooker.
In other words, you focused on the superficial stuff, the small stuff that you see in every other self-improvement YouTube video. However, there's one very big problem. You, my friend, are missing one vital tool. You are missing the map to get you to your destination. But more importantly than that, you're missing the map of your diagnostics, the layout of your ship. Even with all the best resources in the world, the best ship, the best crew, you name it, without that map or a blueprint of the ship's inner workings, your direction is lost. If you haven't figured it out already, your map is your self-awareness. It's an understanding of your strengths, your weaknesses, your inner mind, why you tell yourself the things you tell yourself on a daily basis and where those things are coming from. It's understanding you and and where you're going in life. It's understanding your desires and why you want those desires in the first place, whether or not you came up with those desires on your own, or if people like your family, your friends, your colleagues put these desires onto you without your approval. Without this map, you will be moving. Yes, you'll get the six-pack, you'll get the girls, you'll get all the shiny stuff. But here's the problem. You may be moving totally off course.
Houston, we have a problem.
To a destination that you didn't even pick. And yeah, like I said, you may end up conquering a country. You might set sail onto Denmark, right? But when you get to Denmark, you might look around and say, well, shit, bro, I didn't want to conquer Denmark in the first place.
We have nothing whatsoever in common. I don't even like you.
In simpler, more modern terms, you became the CEO of a grand food company, like McDonald's, for example, because that's what you thought success looked like. That's what you thought it meant to be successful. But after applying the map of self-awareness, you look around in this big job that you've created for yourself that has taken all your freedom away from you. You are literally working in your office from 5 to 6 every day, probably even longer, as the grand CEO. But you might hate your life like crazy. And you might realize that you've done all of this work to impress, like I said, your family, your friends, maybe to prove the bully wrong that called you an idiot and good for nothing when you were 10 years old, right? You've allowed this bully to get inside your head because you weren't aware of yourself. Maybe you wanted to become a doctor and save lives. Maybe you cared about animals and you wanted to become a vet, for crying out loud. But you've missed that calling now because you weren't aware of what it was that you were truly meant to do in this world. So forget about the ship, bro. Forget about the fancy sails, the best ship, the strongest, most wise crew. Forget about all the small shit. Start with the basics. Figure out your map. Start learning how to read your map and your diagnostics. In other words, start learning about yourself. Start becoming aware of your own mind, your own thoughts, your own feelings. Do the deep inner work that you should have done years ago so that you have a clear path ahead to set sail towards the life that you truly wanted. Here's your actionable homework for this step today. And honestly, there are a million tools out there that'll help you with your self-awareness. You can look them up online. But the biggest 2 tips or the biggest 2 practices that have really given me the best return on investment in terms of this skill set is 2 very important practices. The first one is meditation, and the second is journaling. I'm not going to waste your time on this video explaining how to do these 2 things. Luckily for you, I have already done 2 very comprehensive videos on these topics, so you can find meditation over there. I'll give it like 2 seconds. You haven't clicked off yet? Cool, there's journaling over there. And that brings us to step number 2. And I have a feeling that another 50% of people are going to drop off after hearing this stage, maybe even more, because step number 2 is to develop the second self, which is self-compassion. I can feel the dropout, bro. I can feel it.
Cannonball!
I can hear all of the Andrew Tate and the David Goggin fans screaming at the screen right now.
So they don't like it, and I said, well, what color's your brigade?
In utter disbelief after hearing me say the word compassion. I bet you've never heard that on any self-improvement podcast. You've heard about self-torture, discipline, beating yourself into submission, but never being kind to yourself. Because you're thinking to yourself, how can I be worried about being compassionate when I haven't achieved any of my goals, bro? Like I'm a loser, right? People have always believed that they need to hate themselves, that they need to be hard on themselves in order to see real lasting change in their lives. And yes, some people do bully themselves into submission and bully themselves into achieving these hard-earned goals, right? But I can tell you right now that 90% of those people that have only focused on self-discipline and nothing else are probably bloody miserable, even with all their wealth, their fame, and their success. I'm here to tell you today that being hard on yourself and being unkind to yourself is not only super counterproductive, but it is absolutely critical to be kind to yourself. Because if you spoke to your friends or your family the way that you speak to yourself, I'm willing to bet you probably wouldn't have any friends or family left. Correct? Do you want to resent the changes that you make in your life? Or do you actually want to enjoy your self-improvement journey? Do you want to enjoy the process of becoming your highest self? Realize that you are a human being And that inevitably means that you are going to screw up and make mistakes. Plenty of them. Plenty. And because you're human with human feelings and human thoughts and human emotions, you're gonna feel bad sometimes. And that is perfectly okay, bro. But the harder you fight those feelings, the harder you fight those inner demons and those thoughts that terrorize you on a daily basis, the longer they persist. And worst of all, the harder they fight back. And because your ego speaks for you, you set all of these high, grand, unrealistic goals for yourself, like waking up at 4 a.m. every morning and then doing a cold plunge for 20 minutes, followed by a 20-kilometer run up freaking Mount Kilimanjaro. But you haven't left the couch in weeks. You've played Fortnite for like 4 consecutive days in a row, but you want to do a 20K run? Sorry, bro? And the funny part is, then you get angry with yourself when you inevitably fail, because of course you were gonna fail this massive task you set for yourself because your ego is so big, and because you're human. Again, I have to mention that you're human, and that means you will fail from time to time. And then because you fail, you beat yourself even harder because you're a loser and you're good for nothing. You know, you hear David Goggins and Tate, you are useless, you need to get up and keep trying.
I hate everyone. I don't care if you're black, white, straight, gay, man and woman. I hate you anyway.
But then you make the punishment worse for yourself, and then all of a sudden you found yourself in this cycle, never-ending cycle of abuse to yourself. But here's a suggestion I have for you today, my brother. Instead of beating yourself up, being hard on yourself, and then giving yourself unrealistic challenges to overcome, to prove that you're good enough, why don't you simply do this? You simply forgive yourself, you get back up, you dust yourself off, show a little bit of kindness to yourself, and you try again. Alex Mosey actually puts this beautifully, and he says that it's critical to accept the hard. You simply remind yourself, oh yeah, this is what hard feels like. This is what I'm expecting to feel, because anything worth having is hard, right? And with that compassionate understanding, you take a sigh of relief and you just keep moving forward. Don't listen to these macho assholes.
You're so fucking stupid.
That are telling you that you need to suffer and hate yourself and hate your life in order for anything to change. Kill them with kindness, bro. And more importantly, kill your own demons with the kindness and compassion that they've so needed for so damn long. How do I practice self-compassion? Honestly, the steps above in the self-awareness part of the video are absolutely useful too, so consider meditation and journaling. But here's a very powerful technique that I've found has helped me tremendously in showing more compassion to myself. And that is to simply challenge negative thoughts whenever they arise. And you'll have these thoughts spontaneously because your thoughts aren't your problem, bro. You'll have random thoughts throughout the day, and that's perfectly fine. You'll have that little asshole talk to you and say, you're not good enough, you should give up, discipline is not for you, right? And instead of saying, fuck you, bro, like I can overcome you, blah, blah, instead of fighting this little dickhead, right? Simply stop and say, you know what? Is that true? I can do this. I can become the man I want to become. And at first it's going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to be like, oh, why am I lying to myself? But persist, bro. You'll find that as soon as you implant physical thoughts into your brain, instead of these unconscious, spontaneous and sporadic thoughts, those thoughts will start to take hold like a weed, but a good weed.
Hold on, let me get high. Then I'll remember where it is.
I don't know if there's anything like a good weed, but a good weed that takes hold in your mind and starts to blossom with positive thoughts instead of the negative ones. And in every situation, ask yourself the simple question, if I was somebody I loved, if I was a relative or a friend or somebody I really cared for, how would I treat them in this situation? What would I say to them? And then do it for yourself. Because you are and should be somebody you love. And finally, we have step number 3, and that is the big bad wolf that kind of gets a bad rap when it shouldn't. And that wolf goes by the name of self-discipline. But Niall, I thought you just said that it's important to be kind with myself, to be compassionate. So how can I force myself to do things when I'm trying to be nicer to myself, right? Self-kindness and self-compassion is not a get out of jail free card that you can use every single time you feel like, I'll start tomorrow. I don't feel like it right now. This isn't your weak exit point for you to use whenever you feel like. As I mentioned before, in case you weren't listening properly, you mess up, you forgive yourself, and then, what did I say? You get back to work. You try and try and try again. You don't throw in the towel. You stick with it. That is a healthy cycle of growth. Do you see how all of these three tactics almost intertwine into themselves, right? You start with being aware of yourself and your situation. Then you be kind to yourself for all of the weird and wonderful things about you, right? The messed up thoughts and the failed nofap streak, right? You forgive yourself because you are aware that you're human and you're aware that you make mistakes and you have these intricate demons to fight that come from childhood and years past, right? You forgive yourself for those things. And then instead of being a little bitch about things, you get up, you dust yourself off, and you implement self-discipline. I'm spitting a lot today, bro.
Now listen, that's called motherfucking bars.
Please forgive me, right? You implement self-discipline. I'm just passionate about this, clearly. Anyways, you implement self-discipline and you get back on the horse because at the end of the day, you want to change. You want to become better and you want to become the best version of yourself. And that means actually doing the damn work. I have this little note on my computer that I read to myself every single day to remind myself of the importance of discipline. And the note says, forget your plans, your dreams, and your wishes. In the end of your life, it will simply come down to, did you actually do it? Did you do the work? Did you take consistent action towards your goals? Because the harsh truth of today is that winners and losers both have the same goals, don't they? What separates the winners is that they actually get the job done over and over and over again.
I'm a winner. I'm going to win.
Whilst the losers are still at the starting line, designing their goals, designing their vision board, making plans that mean nothing. The reason self-discipline is so crucial is because, again, as humans, we're unstable, for lack of a better term, which means we have fluctuating emotions and feelings, and you can't trust yourself to feel the same on a daily basis. You might wake up tomorrow and feel absolutely shit, and that's normal for people. And just because you're hyped up right now and you've watched this video and you're like, bro, this guy's right, I'm going to change my life, I'm going to do this stuff, just because you feel so good right now, that motivation wears off pretty quickly, as you know deep down, right? Because if you want these goals to come true, if you want to achieve these dreams you've set for yourself, you need to get up and do the work, irregardless of how you're feeling today. That is why you must start relying on self-discipline and not motivation. It makes me feel bleh, even thinking about motivation. It's an unreliable asshole, right? Because as the old quote goes, the professional shows up and does the job every single day, despite how he feels, while the amateur only works when he feels inspired. There. Here's your actionable steps to start implementing self-discipline into your life today. We've already mentioned what an asshole your ego can be in this video, and I want you to take that little ego even more seriously now and start looking at him and thinking, bleh, you are getting in the way of my self-development journey, right? And to check your ego, here's a nice little tactic that really works wonders. Instead of setting these grand visions and these huge goals for yourself, 20-kilometer run, never touching sugar again, right? Instead of really berating yourself into change, check your ego and start as small as possible. Literally start with the baby step number one. And as you get comfortable, you build up your discipline from there, because discipline is a skill that gets built and honed and developed over time. I did a video on the importance of what we call the 5-minute rule, and it's awesome in terms of this aspect of discipline. Check that video out over there. Another nice actionable step is to do something physically hard on yourself every single day, whether that be start going to the gym, right? Put your body through stress, discomfort, so that you learn how to overcome that discomfort, but more importantly, how to actually enjoy it, right? Because you will start enjoying the gym after a while. Try something like a cold shower every morning. Do something small but difficult every single day and prove to your own mind that you can overcome these things and you can do the hard work even when you don't feel like it. I want you to really consider the biggest takeaway of this video, because I saved it for last for a reason. I want you to get rid of this horrible little bitch mentality of quick fixes, quick changes, the 5-minute morning routine that'll change my life. I want you to forget all this bullshit and do something incredibly important for yourself from this day moving forward. Realize that these 3 things that I've given you today are not easy, and they are not going to fix your life overnight as much as you want them to. Doing these 3 things is going to possibly take you an entire lifetime to get right. You get monks that meditate their whole lives to achieve a blissful state of self-awareness and self-compassion. You shouldn't be trying to get to the goal because then you'll be happy, or reach this current milestone because then people will accept you. Fuck that shit, bro. Fuck the stupid, shallow metrics that you've set for yourself. Realize that the process is the goal. The journey is what is supposed to be fun and enjoyable and inspiring. Start using these 3 things and appreciate the journey you're on right now. No matter what level of self-improvement you find yourself at, the journey is the beautiful part, and the journey is where you need to focus on right now.